Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody's doing well. Um, Today I wanted to talk to you about juniper berries. Okay, so these are also known as Eastern red cedars. I think sometimes a lot of people get that confused. They'll see a juniper tree and think that it's a cedar tree. And it's easy to do because the bark on the cedar or on the juniper tree, it actually does look like a cedar tree. But the difference is the juniper tree has these little juniper berries. Now, these are not ripe. These are not ripe. They're sort of kind of, I don't know, weird oval shaped, and they're sort of a white gray, and I think that's because they're starting to turn into their ripened state, which is a round berry, and it is sort of a purpley color. Yeah, kind of a deep dark purple, almost look black, to be quite honest with you. So these are not ripe yet. I picked this right off of my tree, right off the tree. We have about 3 or 4, I forgot to count them coming in. I think there's 3 big, huge juniper trees right along the side of my driveway. And I think one of the reasons the owners planted those is because, as I've mentioned before, my house is a cabin, not a log cabin, but it is made from rough cut lumber. So when they cut down the woods to build their house back here, it's sad, but they did use the wood to build the house. So the house is rough cut lumber, and it is designed as a cabin, and I'm surrounded by the woods. So we have lots of bugs. We have mosquitoes and biting flies and regular flies and all kinds of bugs. Well, the juniper tree, one of the things that I read about it when I was doing some research for this is that it is good. It repels the biting bugs. Well, I'm here to tell you that not at my house it doesn't. You cannot sit out on that front porch in the summer when it's hot, when it's humid, they will eat you up. Now, I'm sitting in my cottage, and we sell these citronella incense sticks, but it's not incense. It burns like an incense stick, but it's actually citronella. And I keep them in here burning when I'm in here because mosquitoes get in here because the cottage is kind of back in the woods, and or off to the side in the woods, I should say. And you just can't keep things like mosquitoes and stuff out. And I keep them low. So I have them in a little burner on the floor so that the smoke goes low down by where my ankles are and then comes up. So if you're ever going to use those, that's what I would suggest. I would suggest putting them low and letting them let that smoke rise up, and that helps. But the juniper tree itself, I'm sorry, it has not helped me one iota in as far as repelling any kind of biting insect. So anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about how I use and what I use the juniper berries for, but in magic. And of course, before I do that, as with most of my videos, I'm going to give you a little, I work from the root of things. I want the information about the juniper tree, first of all, because if I don't know the information, then what is the point? And I want to know, what the properties are of the juniper berries. So I research the juniper berries. And if you don't, I can't. I'm not one of those people that can just read it in a book or watch it on a video, and not have it explained to me what it is and why it is, and then think that I'm just going to go poof and do magic, and it's just gonna, or do a spell or do whatever, and then it's just gonna work. That's not how I work. So a little bit of history here, and I kind of try to make it as fun as I can for you. Okay, but that way you'll know, and I think it's important to know. All right, so one of the fun things to know is that juniper is the one of the main ingredients, I think, in making gin. Gin, the alcohol, gin. Um, it's what they use in making gin. I personally can't stand gin. I hate it. It is nasty. I do not like it. I'm not a big drinker anyway, except for wine. But I don't like gin at all. I've tried gin in several different mixes and drinks and stuff, and I just don't like it. However, these berries are not ripe. Like I said, these berries are not ripe. Sort of white blue, white purpley, white gray, kind of white gray. But once they turn purple and they ripe, you can pluck them right off the tree and eat them. And they have really good nutrients in them. I think it was vitamin C. Like they're very, very high in vitamin C. So you can just pluck them right off the tree and eat them. And I have done that when I've been lucky enough to get the berries off the tree. And when I say that, you can see just from this one little stem, do you see how many berries there are on this? Well, you would think that the tree would be loaded with them, right? But here's the thing. The birds and the squirrels, they get to the berries. I mean, I think like they know that the day the berries are going to be ripe, or a day or two before the berries are going to be ripe. And we will have, when I say flocks of birds, I mean the whole tree is alive. Hundreds of birds all at one time. And they will pluck every berry until that tree is naked, when there's no berries left. So it's rare if I ever find a ripe berry off my own tree. But I have found them, and I have tried them. And for me, it was almost a licorice kind of flavor, I guess. Has their own unique flavor, but for me, it did taste kind of licoricey. So you can eat the ripe berries, okay? The other thing that I found was kind of interesting is that, you know, pencils, like the number 2 pencils that we would use in school, or if you're too young and you didn't use pencils in school, or you've never smelled a pencil, that's what they use. They use the wood from the juniper tree, and that's what it smells like. So it smells really good. And I remember that. I remember in school, like smelling the pencils. I don't know. Cedar oil is used in different polishes, like furniture polish, and I think like silver polish, and maybe polish for copper. I've heard that it's also used in medicines. I don't know which medicines. It seems to me that it would be used in something like a cough medicine, maybe. I don't know. Like a juniper syrup, like you would make an elderberry, maybe. Don't know, because I mean it's full of vitamin C and different, again, different nutrients. So, but before you try ingesting anything, red flag, don't ingest anything until you've done your research. And you know, if you're taking any kind of medication or supplements, or you have some sort of, you know, health issues or some kind of thing going on, and you've heard that, oh yeah, you can use juniper berry for that, don't do that until you've spoken with your doctor. Seriously, herbs are not to be played with. I know it seems silly, it's a plant, but no, plants are can be very dangerous. So you want to make sure that you check and make sure that you're able to take that. And then one of the things that it's also used for, and it's actually the leaves, okay, the little green leaves. These are almost kind of like, I don't know, Christmas tree-ish looking. So what they do is they extract the oil from the leaves of the tree to make this oil, and also from the wood itself, and and they make perfumes, or they add it to perfumes. So you might see cedar or juniper or something like that, or maybe the Latin word, the real word for juniper, which I don't know what it is. You might see that on your perfume or something. And the other thing that I thought was really cool, now I've not done it, but I probably will, and that is you can make a red dye, and it's supposed to be, I saw it, it's supposed to be a really pretty red dye from the bark of the tree. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go down and cut any trees down. With our junipers, and I wish I would have known this before I started this, and here's what's interesting. So our juniper trees, they're huge. Again, they're huge. They're probably 60 feet tall. I don't know how tall they are. They're giant. And it goes over a walkway that goes out into our front yard. And also it leans over our driveways. You drive under them. And I think it was just last week or the week before is when I started this juniper information for the video. We had to trim them back a little bit because they were just really hanging too low. So we trimmed them back, and I didn't save anything. We were picking up limbs and stuff, and I didn't even think about it. And sometimes the cedar does drop limbs, and so the next time I will be more aware of that. But yeah, so had I known that, I would have saved some of the bark and I would have tried it. Now I have to wait until it drops some leaves. But I'm going to try it. I think you just boil it. I'm sure there's recipes online how to make it. And so that's what you're going to be looking for if you want to make the dye. All right. So as I said, these are not ripe. I just picked it so I could show you. I'll show you the red ones in just a second. But anyway, okay. So now juniper berries are really good in magic. So here's the magic part of what I want to talk about. Juniper berries are really good and used to attract good people and friends, relationships. Those energies that serve your highest good. That's what they're used for. One of the things that they're used for. So you can, so then you can add the berries into your, I'm looking outside because it's getting ready to storm. It's been storming since that storm Elsa came through. Every day we've had just storms. Okay, so you can use them in love spells, spells for friendships. Maybe your neighbor's not as friendly as you want them to be, so you could use it for neighbor spells, coworkers. If you have a coworker that's just, moody or, not as friendly as you'd like them to be, you can use the juniper berries for that as well. And you can also use them in charms if you work with charms and stuff like that. One of the other things that it's really good for, though, is it's a really powerful hex breaker. So, or an herb, like if there's just this really stagnant, toxic, heavy energy around you that you want to cleanse, instead of reaching for a sage or a palo santo or what to use to cleanse that energy, you could try burning the juniper, because it also works for removing that toxic energy, that heavy energy that isn't serving your highest good. And it smells good. It smells pretty good too. In ancient Egypt, they used to use the wood and the needles and the berries to make incense. And they believed that it had the power to ward off evil. Evil. I don't like that word. I don't know. I'm sure, there's there's evil in the world, but I guess, I don't know. I really think you have to um, figure out, what's evil to some isn't evil to others. And I don't know about evil. But anyway, that's what they said, that it helped, ward off evil. So you could make an incense out of it. You could hang a little sprig above your door, put some in your car, uh, put some on your desk at work. I mean, it's just pretty. It's pretty. So no one would think anything of it. They also help to purify the air. So the smoke helps purify the air from bacteria. Now, I use, besides using a sage or a rosemary, I use frankincense a lot when I'm doing a cleansing. Like when we cleanse the store, I pretty much do a hefty cleanse once a week. It depends on the energy. My store is really cool. I've got such good energy that comes into the store for the most part, but there are times when that energy gets a little bit either too much, like too overwhelming, or someone has come in and it just brings about a certain amount of energy. Even though our store is warded, it's protected, it's got everything going on, sometimes I just feel like I need to cleanse. And so when I do my once a week cleanse, I use frankincense, and I use frankincense resin for that. But you can use juniper for that. And the other thing about frankincense and the juniper, like I said, it doesn't only just purify the air, but they would use it, the juniper, they would use it in like in the sick rooms in the hospital and stuff, to help remove that bacteria and the disease that was causing the person to be sick. So when I cleanse the store and I use the frankincense, because frankincense is an antifungal, and so I use it and through my intention, remove any kind of lingering bacteria or cooties from COVID. They're hanging around. That's what I use. I really like it for the whole COVID thing. So I've actually been cleansing a little more often since COVID came up. And I love frankincense. I love frankincense. I love the smell of it. It smells purifying. And we do have, well, actually, I'm out of it, but we do have, sell juniper. Let me take that back. I have cedar smudge sticks, which is juniper cedar, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. We do have those sticks, so you could use that for cleansing. My favorite thing about juniper is that it has this really high spiritual vibration to it, which means that, at least to me, which means that it would also be associated with divination, with prophecy, with journey work. And, I do a lot of journey work, a lot of underworld work. I work with the ancestors. I love to do it. So I think that it's a great herb for getting in touch with deity and spirits, and especially spirits of nature. Yeah, so I like that. And you can also use it in meditation to help you focus and for concentration. If you see my eyes kind of looking all over the place, I had to put my notes on the computer today. It's a long story. Anyway, that's why I'm kind of like doing this. I'm sort of connecting to my notes as I'm talking to you. Usually I have my notes on my notepad, but today, not so much. It's on the computer, and I don't like it. But anyway, it's what I have today. All right, so today I am going to make a mojo, or some people refer to it as a gree-gree bag. And I don't mean any disrespect to anyone that knows the absolute difference between mojo and gree. I know from different people that I know personally, that I've worked with, have told me that the word is somewhat interchangeable. People do use them interchangeably, but that one is for this and one is for that. I think one has to do more with charms and one has to do more with caring with you. Like one is more spell work and one is more, not really sure. So I'm making a little pouch. That's what I'm calling it today. And I'm going to be using the berries and I'm going to be using some of the leaves. And I'm using them to help remove that, just that sludgy, heavy energy that's kind of been going on the month of July. I don't know. It's been kind of, I think when Mercury went out of retrograde, which was in June, like towards the end of June somewhere, you would think that the energy would have lightened up. But for me, it's gotten heavy. It feels thick to me. The energy feels thick. There's some weirdness going on. And so I thought this was a good thing to use. So I'm going to use the needles and the berries for my little pouch to remove some of that heavy toxic energy. And I'm also going to use them to help open up the receiving of the energy that I need for my journey work and my ancestor work. Because if I'm in a funk, if I'm feeling I want that obstacle, I want those things to be removed so that I can be completely open to receiving the messages that come in. I think that if I were spirit and I was working with someone and they were not feeling good, or they were in a bad mood, or they were just feeling the funk, I would want them to be cleansed, and I would want that energy to be removed, or at least to be working on being removed, in order for me, if I were spirit, in order for me to work with somebody. I don't want to work with somebody who's all, creepy crawly, bad energy going on. All right, so I am not going to use these berries, even though I think it's okay to use them. I mean, I think it's okay to use them. I don't know why you wouldn't. It is, after all, our magic is all about intention. And, I think what I am going to do, I think I will put a few berries in there. I think I'm going to put 9 berries in there. And because, I work in threes and 9 is a sacred number. So I'm going to pinch off 3 berries. I'm putting them in my mortar pestle. And I'll do that when I move the camera down. Okay. So I got 3 berries in there. Don't let me forget. But I am going to use the dried berries. So, and the reason why I decided to use the dried berries is because if you're following along and you decide that you want to use juniper berry for your spell work or to make a little bag or whatever, unless you have a tree in your yard, it's going to be really hard to find fresh juniper berries. And even if you do find a juniper berry tree, if they're not ripe yet, and you want to use ripe berries and you want them to be dried, you might have to buy them at your local metaphysical store. Hint, hint, I know where there is one. Or you might have to buy it online. And you know what? Hey, you got to do what you got to do. If you got to buy online, you got to buy online. I'm not a hater to that. I'm not a hater to that. I have friends that have stores, and I'm all about them profiting and doing well. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to get to my next note. Hang with me. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to move the camera down so that we can see what's going on. All right, so I will be right back with you. Give me 1 second. Okay. Hi. Hang on. Okay, so let me get back to my notes. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I'm so sorry. All right, well, I'm just going to leave it, and I'm just going to use my phone, and you'll have to bear with me. I can't pull my notes up now for whatever reason once I did that. Okay, let's see. Here we go. All right. Oops. All right, so I'm really electronically challenged, you guys, and so this just makes it so hard for me. Okay, so you're going to have your mortar and pestle. My 3 little berries are in there, and I said I would put 9, so there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 of the unripe berries that I'm putting in there. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in my juniper berries. Now, this is what they look like. Okay, so now you see the difference. They're dark. Now, of course, these are dried, but this is kind of what they look like on the tree. Of course, they're not dried, but they're a dark purple, almost black, and these are dried. Now, these I'm just going to use pinches. So I'm using one, I'm going to use 3 pinches though, just however much I get in a pinch. Some people like to use a measuring spoon, that's fine. I don't measure out, I do just a pinch. Okay, so I'm using the berries, which the juniper berries are element of fire. Yay. Move my thing up. Okay, so I'm using the berries in this particular spell. I'm using the berries to sort of dispel, like I said, get rid of that heavy energy, just that toxic kind of heavy energy that's been going on. So I'm using the juniper berries for that because that is one of the things. Well, then of course the next thing I'm going to use is my chicory root, which chicory root is element of air. And I know you've seen it. I'm putting it in the palm of my hand. Looks like coffee ground coffee. Gosh. And actually, it smells like coffee, kind of. And I told you before in one of the videos, this is, I think one of the videos was called like my favorite herbs or something. Check that one out. It's got some really good information in there. But this is what they used to drink. I want to say World War II or back in the Depression. They used to use chicory root for coffee because they either didn't have coffee or they couldn't afford the coffee. So this was 1 pinch. I'm using 3 pinches of chicory root, which is element of air, and that is because I want to remove the obstacle that is creating that sludgy kind of, energy, just that thick kind of heavy energy. I want to remove that, and at the same time, the chicory root not only removes the obstacle, but as the obstacle gets removed, the door is able to open. So I wanted to be able to open the doors to more positive energy coming in. So just like I said with the juniper berry itself, it not only is good for bringing together good energy, good friends, good people, relationships, that kind of thing, things for your highest good, but it can be used as hexing and as protection. So so for both reasons, I'm using this for both things. First, I want to remove the old toxic, and I want to open the door so that that new energy can come in. All right, so the next thing I'm going to use is, hang on, I gotta fix my phone, is the next thing I'm going to be using is mugwort. And mugwort is, if I can get it open, mugwort is element of earth. Element of earth. Okay, and this is mugwort. This is kind of what it looks like. It's kind of, I call it kind of fuzzy. I've seen it come differently, but sometimes it comes kind of fuzzy. So mine is fuzzy. So right now I have the berries, which are fire. I have the chicory root, which is air. And now I have mugwort, which is the element of earth. And again, I'm using 3 pinches, whatever comes out of the bag, 2 and 3. 3 pinches of mugwort, and mugwort helps with the kind of the prophetic or the trance, dream-like state that I like to be in when I'm journeying. Sort of a, I don't know, helps to bring clarity for me. It's not an herb that necessarily you will find a description that says for clarity, but I think with the combination of the chicory root, where we're removing and opening a door, and bringing in the mugwort, which helps with that dreamlike state, you know, it's to journey. I think that that's sort of a clarity kind of thing that's going on. All right, so the next thing is the I'm using is I'm going to be using angelica, which is fire, element of fire. I'm using angelica root. Oh, these plastic bags. You wouldn't think they'd be so hard to open. All right, so I'm using angelica root, which looks like this. Okay, it's root. There's my first pinch. I'm using 3 pinches, 2 and 3. 3 pinches of angelica root, which is element of fire. And I'm also, hang on, I'm also using colt's foot. This is colt's foot. Show you what it looks like. Almost kind of looks like mugwort. It's kind of fuzzy, like mugwort. Oops, there we go. There's 1. 2 and 3. Just remember, when you get your herbs, you know, it depends on the company. Sometimes, like this particular company, the colt's foot and the mugwort, the blessed thistle, they're all sort of, they have like this fuzziness to them, but they smell very different and they work very different. So you want to make sure, always make sure that your herbs are labeled. Now this one I just wrote on the outside mug because I use a lot of mugwort. I use mugwort for tea also when I do my journey work, and so I get bulk mugwort, and I use it a lot in my spell work. So and for divination and tarot and all the stuff. And so I just keep it in these little bags because it's easier in my little herb totes that I use to handle. So, but I label them because they also smell different, but sometimes you might forget what the smell is. So I label it. Make sure you label it. All right, so I just got done putting in the colt's foot, which is the element of water. So now I have fire, I've got air, I've got earth, and now I have water. Now both the angelica and the colt's foot, those help with visions. It helps with visions. So, and when we're doing journey work or working with the ancestors, then yes, we want those visions, or at least I do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use cinnamon, which I just buy this at the store. I just get it at the store. It's cheap, so I don't carry cinnamon in my store. It's cheaper at the grocery store than what I can sell it for. So, and of course, cinnamon is, helps raise your spiritual vibration, and it also stimulates your psychic powers. So that is, again, is what I'm trying to do in this spell. And I'm going to use 1, 2, 3. 2 didn't get in there very well, but that's what came out. So that's what I'm using. 3 dashes of cinnamon. 3 dashes of cinnamon. Cinnamon is element of fire. So I got a lot of fire going. That doesn't surprise me, shouldn't surprise you since I work with fire, but that is not how I chose my herbs, okay? I didn't choose them based on, oh, I want all the fire. However, as I've told you before, I do try to make sure that I'm using all of the elements when I'm doing my spell work. Most of the time it just works out that way. You'll find that in your work. That it usually works out that way, that you end up, if you look at everything, you're ending up using all of the elements. It's really important to me. So, okay, then I'm going to use, and I don't use this very often, but I am going to use star anise, I guess is how it's pronounced, star anise. If I can get it out, it's element of air, and this one isn't full. It's not a full star. I don't care. There's one. Oh, it smells like licorice. There's 2. Woo! And there's 3. You can see that I've used it. And again, this is another one. I don't carry it in my store. I get my spices in the international section at the grocery store. This was like 75 cents, you guys. I mean, really. It's so cheap. And you can get them, I think, at like the dollar store and stuff. I mean, I can't sell them for that price. So, okay, so star anise is the element of air, and then I'm using, I know it seems like a lot, then I'm using wormwood, because wormwood helps to increase your psychic powers, and it also helps to call the spirits. Here's wormwood. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now, when you're working with herbs, if you're pregnant or you're trying to get pregnant or you have some kind of medical condition, health issues, anything like that, seriously, please do your research. You just used more angelica. Oh. I didn't bring the wormwood. Now I have 6 angelicas. That's all right. Let's keep moving. Okay, so please, anytime that you are using herbs, anything, and you're trying to get pregnant, or you are pregnant, or you're nursing, be extremely careful. This angelica root is, you shouldn't use it. You shouldn't handle it if you're pregnant. Okay, so I'm using bare hands. This is another one, the colt's foot. You should not use if you're pregnant or if you're nursing. What that means is, it doesn't just mean like ingesting it. It means you shouldn't be using it. We have pores in our skin, and it can go, it can get into your body. You can inhale it, breathe it in, and you shouldn't, you need to be very careful when you're using herbs. Use gloves if you have to. So, Please be very careful. All right, so the star anise was the air, element of air, and wormwood is fire. And they both help to increase your psychic powers, and the wormwood especially helps to call the spirits. So that is another one that I use a lot of. Now, I have no idea what happened to my wormwood. Mugwort, cold angelica, chicory, Juniper. Oh, look at this. I found this on the way in. It's my, I'm not using this. This is a swamp hibiscus. And this one already bloomed. Well, it's huge. Huge. I mean, it's the size of a platter. So I'm going to dry this. This fell off, and I'm going to dry it. All right, well, I don't know where the wormwood is. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to use, this is the last thing, well, the last thing in herbs, is I'm going to use tobacco. This is tobacco. We have tobacco fields here in eastern North Carolina. They're all over the place, and right now they're starting to harvest it. So what I'll do is I will go along either the side of the road where they've harvested it, or if I see them out there loading the truck, a lot of times I'll stop and I'll ask them if I can have a few leaves that have fallen on the ground, just to be respectful. And usually I just tell them that I'm working on a project, and they don't care. It's on the ground. They're not going to use it. But I'm going to put in 3 pinches of tobacco, and I use tobacco a lot. So I'm using some hefty pinches here, dried tobacco, because I use it as an offering to the ancestors, to the spirits. So there's 3 nice hefty pinches of dried tobacco. All right, so now what I'm going to, and I've got all the elements in my bowl, air, fire, water, earth, everything that I need, and now I'm going to grind them. And I'm going to grind in a clockwise motion, because even if, as I'm trying to do the berries, I'm twisting my pestle in a clockwise motion. That is bringing in. Oh, but you said you were trying to release. That is correct. That is exactly what I said. So if you've watched any of my videos, you're going to know, because I've told you, that I don't tell you everything that I'm doing. I do not reveal all of my spell work, my personal work, which I am making this for my personal self, myself. So what I'm doing right now is clockwise. If you feel that you want to do a counterclockwise motion to release first, then do so. What calls you? What do you feel like you want to do? All right. The last thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add. You can add orange oil, sweet orange oil, or I would not suggest using like fresh squeezed orange juice, because it can get sticky. I'm using the orange blossom water. This is actually cologne, and I call them waters. I'm going to add this in there, and the reason I'm using orange is because here's my little called a pipette, because I only want 3 drops. 1, 2, 3. I'm using orange because orange is good for success. And so I want a successful spell. Absolutely want a successful spell. All right. The next thing I'm going to add is, this is an oil. This is sage and cedar. Well, I like the idea that it has sage, which is for purification, and also the using 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, and it also has the cedar, which is what we're using. So 3 drops of sage, and sage is also, you know, it has that protective quality to it. If you are, you know, interested in working with ancestors or spirits or journey work or whatever, and you're kind of on the, you know, nervous side, then, you know, you can add that and that will help. And the last thing I'm using is, this is the tobacco oil that my friend sent me from Arizona. Thank you, my friend from Arizona. You know who you are. And I'm using 3 drops, 1, 2, 3, 3 drops of tobacco oil. And I'm just going to give it another swirl. And while I'm swirling this, I will be thinking about those intentions. I'm letting go. I'm just sort of letting the herbs clean up that negative sludgy energy. The chicory root is opening that door for the positive, for the good, and all is well. I'm going to take my pouch and I'm going to put everything in there. Okay. And you can see all this extra here. What do I do with that? I put it out into the woods. All right, I'm going to tie this, but I do something a little bit different. I will end up untying these ends and tying, kind of doing a braid of 9 knots, and I might even add a charm to this as well. You can anoint the outside of your bag. You can anoint your hands while you're working it. Whatever you want. You can carry this with you. You can hang it above your door. You can put it in your car, put it in your drawer at your desk, you know, at work, wherever it is that you need it. And there it is. That's done. That's it. That's all there is to it. So yeah, so that's it. Hi guys. Woo, we are way long. I didn't know because I had my thing up. Sorry about that. Shoot. Okay, so I'm going to finish here real quick with, I'm just going to finish up now. Okay, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's Juniper Berry spell work, or making your little pouch, your bag, whatever you'd like to call that. And it's good, like I said, for bringing forth that good energy, that energy that's serving your highest good from people, friends, neighbors, coworkers, relationships, whatever. And also what I've done is it's sort of a 2-4 for me, because I needed to let go of some of that heavy energy that's just been surrounding me, and I'm going to say interfering with my journey work. So I'm going to be using that, holding that while I'm doing my work, and I will feed it. Maybe we can talk about that sometime, until I feel that I don't need it anymore. All right, guys, that's it. I am so sorry that this went long. I didn't have my timer, and my videos keep getting longer and longer. I am so sorry. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. With love. Bye-bye.